Welcome back to my video called The Meaning of Life. Alright, so where did we leave off? I received a few objections to my last video, so my hope is that if you are someone who disagreed with some of my arguments or hold an opposing worldview, I hope you enjoy this video because I'm going to be addressing your concerns and objections directly. Let me first sum up what I was arguing for in the last video. I was arguing that our consciousness does not obey the laws of nature. That it's actually a substance, for lack of a better word, that transcends the natural world. In the same way, like God would transcend the natural world, being that he, according to definition, would be the one who created the laws of nature and the natural world. So he would be outside of the laws of nature. Now, a materialist and a naturalist is someone who obviously doesn't believe in the supernatural or the metaphysical, things beyond the natural world. So obviously they would reject God and they would be an atheist. As well, they would believe that consciousness is actually part of the material world. But the problem is, within a materialistic, naturalistic, atheistic worldview, everything obeys the laws of nature. So if consciousness is equivalent to the brain, and the brain is just made of matter, and matter obeys the laws of nature, it follows that everything we think, say, or do is dictated and caused by the laws of nature, and not self-caused. In fact, to speak of self is illusory. And so I was arguing in the last video that whenever an atheist says, you're stupid for believing in God, or you did a bad thing, or you did a right thing, any kind of statement like that, they're actually contradicting their own worldview. Because in their worldview, the laws of nature determine everything, and nothing can escape the laws of nature. Nothing can transcend it, and nothing can disobey the laws of nature, which would be a miracle, right? A miracle would be a violation in the laws of nature, or an act beyond the laws of nature, or something that does not obey the laws of nature. That would be supernatural, which they don't believe in. So if they don't believe in that, and they don't, it follows that your consciousness, which is just part of the brain in their worldview, is just obeying the laws of nature, which means it's caused by the laws of nature, which means you and I would not be responsible for anything we say, think, or do, which I'm not comfortable with at all. Because, and I don't think many people are comfortable with that. I mean, simply the fact that so many atheists on YouTube will say stuff like, why do you believe in God? Well, if atheism was true, I have to believe in God because my brain is obeying the laws of chemistry, and the laws of chemistry are dictating that that's how I believe. So why would they get mad at me? Why not get mad at the laws of nature? But that seems kind of silly because the laws of nature are not deciding who to make, one way or the other. They just are. They're not conscious, right? So, and then that's the funny thing. The laws of nature are not conscious, so how could consciousness exist within the laws of nature? Anyways. So I wanted to actually answer some objections that were raised. There were three main ones. And they went essentially like this. The first one was concerning emergent properties. And an emergent property works like this. You take oxygen and you take hydrogen, you put them together, you get water, and a property of wetness emerges. Water is wet. You guys know that. So if you take hydrogen and oxygen apart, there is no wetness in oxygen and there's no wetness in hydrogen, but when they come together, wetness emerges. So they were arguing that consciousness emerges from brain configuration and activity. Now, I want you to notice that even emergent properties, so wetness coming out of hydrogen and oxygen, wetness, water, still obeys the laws of nature, doesn't it? Yeah, wetness and water still obey the laws of nature. So even if you want to say consciousness is an emergent property from the brain, it still obeys the laws of nature, and we still cannot then be responsible for anything we think, say, or do, because we wouldn't have choice. We would be caused by the laws of nature, because again, anything that violates the laws of nature would be supernatural, metaphysical, a miracle, which the naturalist and the atheist does not believe in. So I'd like to make that point. Now, that doesn't refute materialism. All it says is that if you want to be consistent, an atheist can never again say you should do this or you shouldn't do that, or you should believe one way or shouldn't believe another way, because nature is dictating literally everything, and you can't get mad at the laws of nature. So that's just one point. We understand that if the brain is damaged or is under the influence of a mind-altering drug, that will affect consciousness. And doesn't that prove that consciousness is equivalent to the brain or the goings-on in the brain? The answer is no. You see, there's a difference between the experience of the consciousness, which is dictated by the surroundings that it is in, as well as the condition of the brain which the consciousness is using, and the actual consciousness itself. You see, brain damage, as long as the person's not brain dead, and mind-altering drugs do not make you more or less a conscious thing. It doesn't change the value of the actual consciousness. Consciousness, or reason, which I've demonstrated in the first video is rather unnatural or supernatural, can only express itself in the physical world through a physical body and brain. And depending on the condition, whether it be through damage or mind-altering drugs or any number of conditions, that will limit the amount of options that the consciousness has to experience and express itself in the physical world. But that does not mean that the stimuli that change the experiences of the consciousness, that does not mean that it is equivalent to consciousness itself. Now, I actually wanted to play this video that I received from a materialist. He was attempting to show that substance dualists like myself are wrong, so I'm just going to play some clips and evaluate his arguments. Sound like fun? Oh yeah, I think it's fun. Let's do this. Let's play I'm going to play the first 10 seconds of his video.
Substance dualism is the philosophical view that our universe is composed of two kinds of substance, physical substance and the non-physical substance of souls, minds, or consciousness.
Actually, he's wrong. I don't know where he got that idea. You see, because he's a materialist, he believes the laws of nature dictate everything, and everything exists within the laws of nature. And since he only believes that the universe exists, he doesn't believe in things outside the universe. Of course, he made the mistake of saying that people like me believe that the universe is made of two substances. That is a total straw man. I believe that there are substances outside of the universe. So other kinds of substances that are not part of the natural world, that are not part of the laws of nature. So I'm not saying that he's being dishonest, because I actually think he believes what he's saying, and I don't think that he's unintelligent. He's obviously articulate. The problem, he's just misinformed because of his own worldview. His worldview has not allowed him to see the alternative view. And it doesn't inspire much confidence when the first 10 seconds of a 9-minute video begins by totally misrepresenting the alternative position. But let's play another clip and keep going.
Substance, in the sense intended here, is a physical concept. The term non-physical substance is literally meaningless.
Who can see the problem here? I'm going to play the clip one more time.
Substance, in the sense intended here, is a physical concept. The term non-physical substance is literally meaningless.
You don't have to be really smart to figure this out. You just need to have a little bit of critical reasoning. He defined a substance as something physical, and something physical as a substance. Completely circular, a complete tautology, a sentence that means nothing. This man is a sophist. He's attempting to win his argument by making up his own definitions and misrepresenting what the dualist actually believes. The dualist does not believe that within one universe there are physical and non-physical substances. That makes no sense at all. What the dualist believes is that there are substances within the natural world that obey the laws of nature, such as natural substances, we'll call it, and they also believe that there are substances outside the laws of nature, supernatural substances, or metaphysical substances, such as God. God would be metaphysical, or supernatural, because he transcends dimensionally the laws of nature. After all, God created the laws of nature, so he would, of course, not have to adhere to them, seeing as he created them. So, of course, he defined a substance as something physical, and as a materialist, he only believes that the universe and the things within the universe exist. So he's attempting to get the dualist to adhere to his own worldview, which is completely dishonest. His argument is entirely circular and is illogical. It's ridiculous. And of course, this is how he begins his video, which makes everything else that he builds upon this argument false, which is his entire video. He hasn't shown that there are not metaphysical or supernatural substances. All he's shown is that to say that there are within the universe physical and non-physical objects, he's shown that that's ridiculous, and it is. Of course, there are not physical and non-physical objects within the universe. That doesn't mean there are not substances that transcend the universe. It's a totally different argument. The two literally have nothing to do with each other. And I'm amazed that he can't see that. But Again, either he can't see that, in which case he's blinded by his own worldview, or he's a very clever sophist and he's not interested in intellectual honesty. He only wants to win an argument by using his own definitions, but that's not playing fair. And the same author cautioned us by saying this.
If we're not careful with language, major misunderstandings can occur. Simply using labels like physical or mental can lull us into the false view that we must be dealing with some grand division of entities, rather than something more subtle like a shift of perspective.
And that's so very ironic, because that's exactly what he's done. He's screwed up his own language in order to win his argument. So he's got a ton of people, applauding him, although they don't realize that he's deceived them. So God bless you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to respond. Take care. And I didn't file any DMCAs against Cody Webster. I don't know where that came from. Just thought I'd throw that out there. See ya.